Hello, students. Based on your questions, as you asked, I'm going to answer it. So, without wasting time, I would like to start it. Firstly, from lesson number 1, you gave me two questions. One is F4 and one is F6. Question is that what are symbiotic plants? How do they derive their nutrition? So, symbiotic plants are those plants where two plants they live together by helping each other. That means one plant is helping the other, another plant is helping the first one, and as a mutualism, both of them are benefited. Both of them are taking benefit from each other, and they live together. So that are the symbiotic plants. And how do they derive their nutrition? So they derive their nutrition by helping each other. For example, one simple example I am giving you, that is, for example, lichen. So in lichen, what happened? One algae and one fungi, they are living together. You know that algae can prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis because they are green in color. But this algae do not have the roots, so they cannot collect the water from the soil. So in that time, the fungi is living with them, and this fungi can collect the water and can give it to the algae. So by this way, fungi is collecting the water, giving to the algae, and with the help of that water, algae can prepare the food by the process of photosynthesis because it has chlorophyll in it, it is green in color, and then that food they share with each other. On the other hand, the fungi, it cannot prepare its own food because it is not green in color, it cannot perform the photosynthesis. So I hope you got your answer. So next, F6. Why is it important to replenish nutrients in the soil? How can it be done? So you see, when one crop is growing in a particular field, then it is collecting some nutrients from that. So if we cultivate the same crop year after year, then some of the nutrients which that particular crop is collecting from the soil, it may decrease in the soil. Okay, if you are cultivating different crops in different time, then that problem will not arise. But the same crop, if we are planting year after year in the same field, then some of the nutrients they may lack in that particular field. They may be reducing in their amount, and gradually what will happen, due to the lack of that nutrient in that particular soil, that particular crop will not give the sufficient production. What production we require from the crops, it may not give that product. So next part, it is asking here, that is, how can it be done? For that, you can write from the book. In page number 13, it is given, soil can be replenished by the following methods: by adding manures or fertilizers which provide one or more nutrients to the soil, and number 2, by practicing crop rotation. Crop rotation means one after another crop. After the harvesting of one crop, another crop is cultivated in the same field. That is called crop rotation in different seasons. So in which farmers change their crops in each season so that soil does not become deficient in a specific nutrient. So these 2 points you can write as the answer of that question. I hope you can. So next I am coming to lesson number 2. That firstly you are asking type E number 1. Give examples to show the different modes of consuming food in different organisms. So here you can write, you see, mammals like elephants have long trunks to grasp and pull leaves and plants into their mouth for chewing. That is number 1. Number 2, dogs and cats use their tongues to lick milk and water. Number 3, reptiles like snakes swallow their food whole. Number 4, insects like butterflies, bees, and moths have long, thin sucking tubes to sip nectar from flowers. Then number 5, next number, while leeches and mosquitoes pierce and suck the blood of the victim. Then next number, birds like vultures use their beaks and claws to get their food. Then next, aquatic animals like oyster filter tiny particles of food floating nearby through gills and feed on them. So all these point wise you can write. Okay. In the same from the same lesson, you asked role of stomach in digestion of human. So stomach actually digest the protein part of the food. So there are 6 nutrients, all of you know that. So out of them, the protein is digested in the stomach because the stomach contains the gastric glands, and gastric glands secretes the gastric juice. Gastric juice contains some enzymes like pepsin and renin. So they help in the digestion of the protein part in the stomach. Again, you asked me from that same lesson, small intestine in digestion, absorption and assimilation. So small intestine digestion, in the walls of the small intestine, intestinal glands are there which are secreting the intestinal juices. So they contain so many enzymes in them which are digesting the remaining parts of the various nutrients in the small intestine, like carbohydrate is converted into glucose, protein is converted into amino acids, then fats and lipids are converted into fatty acids and glycerols. Like this, all these nutrients are the digestion of all the nutrients are completed in the small intestine. Then absorption, the small intestine, the inner wall of the small intestine contains some finger-like protrusions called the villi. So these villi help in the absorption of the food. Through the villi, the digested food goes into the blood vessels or blood capillaries, and through the blood it is sent to the various cells. And assimilation means the release of energy from the food. So when from the small intestine the food is collected through the villi by the blood, then they are sent to the cells, and within the cells the food is broken down to liberate the energy. So this is the rule. Then let me come to lesson number 4. So from lesson number 4, you are asking what is kink. Firstly, you are asking kink. So kink is actually one band which is made in the glass tube of the clinical thermometer. So this kink do not allow the that mercury level to come down. While we shake, then only it can come down. So it is because to observe the mercury level properly, this kink is made. Okay. Then you asked me radiation of heat. So radiation of heat means the transfer of heat without any medium by throwing from one to another place. That, for example, from the sun, the heat is coming to our earth. So in between the sun and the earth there is nothing, it is vacuum. Only our atmosphere is there, but above atmosphere there is nothing. So in that place, without a medium, the heat is thrown from one to another place. That means from the sun to the earth it is thrown, and that process of throwing heat from one to another object, that is called radiation. Okay. And again you are asking D2, D6 and E2 questions. So let me see. D2, why is a digital thermometer safer than a clinical thermometer? So because digital thermometers do not have the mercury, and clinical thermometers they have the mercury, and mercury is a toxic substance. So it may cause so many problems. The environment problem also it can cause. It can pollute the soil, water also. If we consume it, it may create some problem in our body also. So as this mercury is not there in the digital thermometer, so it is safer than the clinical thermometer. Again, number D6, name the factors on which the amount of heat radiated or absorbed by an object depends. So it is in the book, in page number 46 it is there. The amount of radiant heat absorbed or radiated by an object depends on its texture, color, temperature and surface area. Then E2, how does a thermosflask minimize the flow of heat through various modes of transfer of heat? Draw a level diagram of the thermosflask. So level diagram, it is in page number 47. That diagram you will draw. Then you can write that a thermos flask consists of a double-walled glass container. There is vacuum in the gap between the walls of the container to reduce transfer of the heat due to convection or conduction. The inner and outer walls of the container are made shiny to reduce transfer of heat due to radiation. The outer body and the lid of the container is made of an insulating material such as plastic to reduce the transfer of heat. Now lesson number 8, you are asking latitude, altitude of a place, closeness to the sea and mountain. So latitude and altitude. So latitude means how far one place is from the equator. You know, there is the equator in Earth. So as we are coming near to the equator, we feel more hot. And as we are going far from the equator, we will feel less hot. That means poles are far from the equator. That means that is why they are very cool. And altitude means what is the height of a place. So if the place is at a higher height, at a more height, then that place will be more colder. So those places which are near to the surface of the earth, they are hotter than those places which are far from the earth. That means that is why those hill stations, that means those places which are at the top of the hill or mountain, so they are generally they are colder than those places which are in the plain. Then closeness to the sea. So one place which is very close to the sea, definitely it is having one moderate temperature, and those places which are far from the sea, they are having generally hot temperatures. And again, mountains. So those places which are present at the base of a mountain, they are colder. They are comparatively they are cool than those places which are far from the mountain. Then again, you are asking D1, D3, and D5. Let me see the questions. D1 question is that birds from polar region migrate during winters. Why? During winters in the polar regions, it is very cold. You know, generally it is cool in the polar regions, and during winter it will be very, very cold. So at that time, at that atmospheric condition, that birds cannot live comfortably. So in search of better climate, they are migrating from the polar region to other regions. Again, D3, what is camouflage? Why is camouflage important for animals? So camouflage means it is a behavior of one animal. So means when they are changing their structure of the body, their shape of the body, they are changing it, or sometimes they are changing the color of the body. So it is to prevent themselves from their prey or from their enemies. Okay. So you know, as a definition, if you want to know, it is given here in page number 86. Camouflage is the natural coloring or form of an animal which enables it to blend in with its surroundings. So I hope you will get the answer. Then D5, it is how does the tilt of axis of rotation of Earth affects its climate? So it is also mentioned here in page number. I am giving you the page number. Yes, page number 84. You see, the tilt of the Earth's axis is responsible for the occurrence of seasons on Earth. So the regions of Earth closer to sun experience summer, while the regions away from it experience winter during the same period. Okay, so that answer you can write. Then you asked me what is a hygrometer. So it is also in page number 82. You can write. So hygrometer, it is one device which is used to calculate the humidity of a place. So humidity means how much water vapor is present in the air. So you know, water vapor is there in air. So depending upon the water vapor, the amount of rain of a place, it depends. So the hygrometer shows how much water vapor or moisture is there in a particular place. So it can be calculated by that device. Now we are going to lesson number 13. Lesson number 13, D1, D3, E1, E5. So D1, in D1 it is given why is the measurement of time important. So measurement of time is important to perform the various works in a systematic way, okay, so that you can write. Then D3, how does a quartz clock measure time? A quartz clock measure time with the help of a quartz crystal, so which is vibrating at a definite time interval when current is passed through it. So using that property of the quartz crystal, the quartz clock they work. So again you are asking E1 question. A train covered the first 300 kilometer of a journey in 6 hours, then next 150 kilometer in 5 hours, and that last 270 kilometer in 4 hours. Calculate the average speed. Average speed can be calculated by one formula. So average speed equals to total distance divided by total time taken. So here total distance, it will be 300 plus 150 plus 270 divided by, so total time, that is 6 hours plus 5 hours plus 4 hours. Sir, and the unit you will write kilometer per hour. Then E5, describe some devices used in earlier times for measurement of time. So for measuring time in earlier days, these devices, firstly the sundial was used, then after the sand clock was used, then water clock. So that 3 devices, about that 3 devices you will write. Then again one doubt it was there for you asked me that last time I gave some extra question answers. From which lesson I gave? Some of you have asked me. So for your clarification, I want to tell you that question and answers were from lesson number 8. Okay, so that is for today. I hope you got your answers from this video, and in future also you will send me messages by observing your messages, by looking your messages. I will make another videos where I will try to answer the questions. Thank you.